In this video I'm going to be showing you how to install the oracledb node module. To get started, I have a Windows 7 64-bit computer and the only thing I've installed is a fresh Windows install. The only thing that's on here is Chrome. I've installed Google Chrome and Notepad++, which is a text editor that I like to use. Other than that, this is just a fresh install. So first thing we're going to want to do is pull up the GitHub page for oracledb. So we'll do a search for oracledb, and there is the GitHub page. And now we'll pull up the install. And we'll go to the installation on Windows section, and we'll start with well, let me start by just before we start installing anything, just want to mention a few things. In this video I will be following this guide for the most part. There's a few sections however that I will not be doing. The first one is under install the driver. It's saying that to run certain bat files, if we're not going to use the Visual Studios to open a developer command prompt. So I don't do either of these, and I don't have any issues. So I don't use the Visual Studio's developer command prompt or use these bat files, and I don't have issues. So the other thing I want to mention is, and that's discussed here on this install file, if you're not going to be installing Instant Client, maybe because you already have it installed, you're going to want to make sure that the version that you have installed is compatible with the version of Visual Studios that you're going to be compiling with. To do that, you want to pull up the installation guide for that version that you're using. In this case, we're going to be using 12.1 of Instant Client. So the Node guys have, or I should say the Oracle guys have done a good job. They placed this link here that we could open up, and under software requirements, if you scroll down, it says that the C++ you need version to either 2010, 2012, or 2013. We're going to be for this video using 2013, but keep that in mind, because if you're using a different version of Instant Client, it likely has its own requirements that might not be the same as this version. At the same time, if you already have Visual Studio installed, you may need to update it to a newer version in order for this to be compiled. So the oldest version is 2010 that the newest edition of Instant Client allows for. I know if you want to install Instant Client, the previous version 11, I believe you can use older versions such as Visual Studio's 2008 would even work, but that's not the case for this one. So the other thing I want to mention is if you're doing a 32-bit install, just like the guide mentions here, just be sure you download everything as 32-bit. Whoops, did I click on there? Instead of the 64-bit. Alright, so to get started here, lost my place. There we go. To get started, let's install Visual Studios 2013. So we'll open up a new tab and do a search for Visual Studios. And we'll click on the downloads here. And if we scroll down, notice the first one here is 2015, but that's not compatible, or it's not one of the compatible versions. It might work, but for this video we're going to stick to what the Instant Client is asking for. So the newest version is 2013, so we'll download that and let's run it. Now we've got some setup warning here, but we could safely ignore this. It's just telling us that it works best with Internet Explorer 10. Let's agree the licensing terms. I'm not going to join the Experience Improvement Program, and I'm going to leave it at the default installation location. For the optional features, we could pretty much uncheck all of these because none of them are required for this. Okay, now we got a user account control box. We'll just hit yes to continue. Now this will install. It might take a little bit of time, so let that go. Okay, so Visual Studios 2013 finished installing, so we'll just hit the X here. And now we'll bring up our install file again and move on to installing Python 2.7 from the Python website. So we'll open up the Python website in a new tab, and we get two options here: download version 3.4 or download version 2.7. We're going to need 2.7, so let's go ahead and click on that, let that download. While that's downloading, let's also go ahead and download Node. We'll open up Node website in a new tab. That's interesting. Let's refresh. Okay, there it goes. That was strange. Alright, we'll download the 64-bit MSI for Windows. And let's go ahead and start installing Python. Install for all users next. We'll use the default directory. Now on this screen it's very important that we select the option to add the Python exe to our path environmental variable. So we want to click on that, click next. And now we're getting this user account control. We're going to hit yes here to allow it to continue. and that's completed. Click Finish. And now let's go ahead and install Node. Click Next. Click on the Accept the Terms in the Licensing Agreement. Choose the default directory. Click Next again and install. I'll let this install. At the user account control screen, we'll just hit yes to allow it to continue. And while that finishes, the next thing we're going to want to do is grab the Oracle Instant Client zips. So we'll use this link here to get us to the download website. If you need a different, if you need a 32-bit for, if you're doing a 32-bit install, you can easily find the 32-bit Oracle Instant Client downloads just doing a simple search. And the first link that came up takes us right to the page that lists all the available versions of Instant Client. So let's go back here, accept the licensing agreement, and we'll download version 12. We're going to need two files here, basic and the SDK. The files within the SDK are what's needed for compiling. And then the basics, the files there are what's going to be needed ongoing for the driver to work. So let's click on both of them, log in. If you don't have an account, you can easily create one here. Let's now accept the licensing term again and download the SDK. So we got that all downloading. Let's check on Node. Looks like Node finished installing. Let's click Finish. Alright, and while we get our zip files downloading, let's go ahead and go to the C drive and create a folder where they're going to be placed. So what I like to do is create an Oracle directory within my C drive. Sort of mimics the default behavior if you're installing the full version of Instant Client. Usually does the same thing. And within this folder I'll create a subfolder and call it Instant Client. So this is where we'll place the contents of our zip files. And the next thing we can do is, while we wait for everything to download, we'll create a folder on our desktop and call it Node app. And that's where we can compile Node, or rather compile oracledb driver for Node. And that's where we can test out our that it's working. So let's check on things. It looks like everything finished downloading, so let's go ahead and extract everything. Okay, we got one extracted, and let's extract the next one here. let's go ahead and take the contents of these and place it in the new directory that we created on our C drive. So we'll do the basic first. Basically, it's all these files here. Just drag them right into the instant client directory we created. And for the SDK, we're going to take these two folders and drag them in there as well. So now that that's done, we're going to want to include that that directory in our path environmental variable. To do that, we're going to go to the control panel and go to computer, or system rather, advanced system settings, and then click on environmental variables. We're going to want to go to the bottom section where it says system variables and edit the one that says path. So we will at the very beginning add the path there, C Oracle instant client, and hit OK. Be sure to add a semicolon. Semicolons needed to separate each path. So click OK there, OK again, and OK on that last screen. And we'll just X out of this. So the next thing we can do is go back to this install page, and there's a link here as we scroll down for the example programs. And let's download these. So I'm going to click back to the main GitHub page and just click on download zip. And there it is, it's downloaded, and we'll extract that. And the examples directory is all the example scripts, and we can actually just drag those all into our new folder on our desktop that we created. And we'll use this to test out that everything's working. So now we're ready to start compiling the driver. What we're going to want to do is go to all programs, Node.js, and open up a command prompt. And then from here we'll navigate to the desktop, the Node app directory. And now before we start compiling, we're going to have to let the compiler know where the SDK files are. And to do that, we need to set two temporary environmental variables. So we'll just set those right from this command prompt. You can optionally add these the same way we added the directory to path. You can add a new environmental variable and add these that way if you want them to be permanent, but I always just add them whenever I need to compile. So the first one is OCI lib directory. So you would just type set and then OCI underscore lib underscore dir equal to, and then you'd point it to the directory of where those files are. So in this case we chose Oracle Instant Client directory, and then we copied that SDK folder there. Within that SDK folder, there's a lib msvc folder. So that's where the files are. That we need to point this environmental variable to. So press enter there. That's set now. The next one we're going to want to set is the include directory, and that one is OCI underscore INC underscore directory, and that one again is in the SDK folder, but it points to the include directory. So now that those are set, now we could go ahead and start compiling. So let's do an npm install oracledb. Okay, there we go. So that was successful. Now let's test it out. So let's go ahead and go into this Node app directory where we copied all our example files or test files. Notice at the very top there's this new Node modules directory, and that's where our Oracle driver is, or module is. That's where it was compiled to. So to test this out, we're going to want to edit the dbconfig file, and I'm going to use Notepad++ to do that. And just make sure that the user password and connection string are specific to your configuration. And let me grab mine. We'll save that, and let's look at our, we'll use this select one to test with. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit that, and I'm going to just change this query around slightly just so it makes sense for my database. And I'll just do a query to parts master table, and should find something. Hit save there. You're going to want to basically just specify a query that'll, give you some sort of result in your database. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and run that. So node select 1.js, press enter, and there you have it. Everything's working. I got a result from my query, and the module's working. So that's pretty much it.